Ajiri's resolve grew quietly, like a small flame hidden in the cracks of a cold, dark cave. She began to take small, secret steps towards reclaiming her life. One morning, as Emeka left for work, his cologne still hanging heavily in the air, she slipped into his study. Her heart raced as she opened his laptop, her fingers trembling as she searched for his financial records. She had long stopped trusting him with their joint accounts, knowing that he monitored every naira she spent. She found what she needed: his offshore accounts, hidden investments, and the passwords to his private funds. She quickly copied them onto a small notepad, her pulse thundering in her ears. When she heard the creak of the front door, she slammed the laptop shut, her heart nearly leaping from her chest. She quickly smoothed her dress and slipped the notepad into the inner pocket of her robe. "Forgot my wallet," Emeka called out, his footsteps approaching the study. Ajiri quickly stepped out as he entered, her face a mask of calm. "Oh, here it is," he muttered, grabbing the leather wallet from his desk. He glanced at her, his dark eyes narrowing slightly. "What were you doing in here?" She forced a smile, her hands clasped tightly behind her back. "You know how you hate the sight of clutter. I was just dusting the shelves." He paused, his eyes scanning her face, as if searching for a crack of her facade. "Good," he said, finally slipping the wallet into his pocket. "Keep it that way." As he walked out, she let out a shaky breath, her hands trembling as she clutched the hidden notepad. Later that week, she found herself sitting in the large bay window in their living room, the afternoon sun casting long shadows across the polished floor. She picked up her phone, her thumb hovering over Amara's number. Would she even pick up? Ajiri wondered, her chest tightening with fear. But she pressed the call button, her heart hammering as the line rang once, twice, 3 times. "Hello," Amara's voice crackled through the line, sounding both surprised and hesitant. "Amara, it's me, Ajiri." There was a stunned silence on the other end before Amara let out a small, breathless laugh. "Ajiri, is that really you? Oh my God, I thought you had vanished." Ajiri felt tears prick her eyes, the warmth of Amara's voice breaking through the cold walls that had surrounded her for so long. "I'm still here," she whispered, her voice trembling. I need to see you." "Of course, anytime, anywhere," Amara said, her tone instantly serious. "Sound different. Are you okay?" Ajiri closed her eyes, the weight of her reality settling heavily on her shoulders. "No," she whispered, her grip tightening on the phone. "I am not okay. I need your help." They met in secret at a small quiet cafe tucked away in a corner of Victoria Island. Ajiri arrived early, her sunglasses pulled low over her eyes, her scarf wrapped tightly around her head. Amara pushed in moments later, her face a mix of relief and concern as she spotted Ajiri in the corner booth. "Ajiri," she whispered, sliding into the seat across from her. She was looking different, tired. "What is going on? You look..." Ajiri forced a weak smile, her fingers nervously tracing the edge of her coffee cup. "Living in a nightmare, Amara. I can't take it anymore." Amara reached across the table, a hand warm and steady over Ajiri's trembling fingers. Tell me everything. Ajiri spoke in a hushed tone, glancing over her shoulder every few seconds, as if expecting Emeka to materialize behind her. She told Amara about the emotional abuse, the physical violence, the isolation, and the slow erasure of her identity. I need to leave, Ajiri whispered, her voice breaking, but I don't know how. Amara's eyes blazed with anger, her grip tightening on Ajiri's hand. You don't have to do this alone, she said firmly. We will figure it out together. One evening, as Emeka stormed in late, his mood already darkened by a failed business deal, Ajiri made a small calculated mistake. She had left a single wine glass on the dining table, a subtle act of rebellion. What is this? He snapped, slamming the glass against the table. Ajiri flinched, but forced herself to meet his furious gaze. It's just a glass, Emeka, she said, her voice steady. His eyes darkened, and he crossed the room in 3 long strides, grabbing her by the wrist. Just a glass, he hissed, his grip tightening. How many times have I told you to keep this place perfect? You are a disgrace, useless. His words cut deep, but this time, Ajiri felt something else rise within her, a cold, unflinching resolve. Let me go, Emeka, she said, her voice dangerously calm. He froze, his eyes narrowing in surprise. She had never spoken to him like this before. What did you just say? He whispered, his face inches from her. I said, let me go. For a moment, they stood locked in a silent battle, his fingers still digging into her wrist. Then, slowly, he released her, stepping back as if stung. You are finally losing your mind, he said, turning away. Ajiri watched him walk away, her heart pounding in her chest. She rubbed her bruised wrist, her mind racing. It's time. That night, as Emeka snored beside her, his chest rising and falling in a steady, oblivious rhythm, Ajiri slipped out of bed. She grabbed the packed bag that she had hidden beneath the floorboards of their walk-in closet and tiptoed down the hall. She reached the front door, her breath coming in short, sharp grasps, her hands trembling as she twisted the lock. She paused, her heart hammering in her chest, and glanced back at the dark mansion, her glittering cage. No more, she whispered to herself. I am free. She stepped out into the cool, silent night. The moon She started writing again, pouring her heart, her pain, her anger into raw, unfiltered prose. She reconnected with old friends, reached out to her family, and even joined a support group for survivors of domestic abuse. One morning, as she sat at the small desk Amara had set up in the corner of the living room, her fingers flying over the keyboard, she felt a strange sense of power, of purpose. "I am more than what he tried to make me," she whispered, her eyes burning with renewed fire. "I am more." Months passed, and Ajiri grew stronger. She cut her hair short, shedding the last remnant of her old self, and slowly began to reclaim her independence. But the shadow of Emeka still lingered, a dark, oppressive presence that haunted her dreams. One afternoon, as she returned from a therapy session, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "We need to talk. You can't run from me forever." Ajiri's breath hitched, her fingers tightening around the phone. "Amara," she called, her voice breaking as she stumbled into the living room. Amara rushed in, her eyes widening as she saw the terror in Ajiri's face. "What happened?" Ajiri held out the phone, her hands shaking. Amara took one look at the message and cursed under her breath. "He found you." That night, Ajiri sat by the window, her eyes locked on the empty street below, her mind whirling with 1,000 fears. No, I will not be his prisoner anymore. When her phone buzzed again, she snatched it up, her jaw clenched. "Ajiri," Emeka's voice cracked through the line, sharp and cold as ever. "Where are you? You think you can just walk away from me?" Ajiri closed her eyes, taking a deep, steadying breath. "I am not afraid of you anymore, Emeka," she said, her voice firm, her heart pounding. "You have no power over me. I am done living in your shadow." There was a long, stunned silence on the other end of the line. "Don't you dare speak to me like that," Emeka said, his voice rising. "You are mine." "Not anymore," Ajiri whispered, her fingers tightening around the phone. "I am free." She hung up, her hands trembling, but her spirit blazing with newfound strength. Ajiri filed for divorce the next morning. She blocked Emeka's number, changed her address, and began the long, painful process of reclaiming her life. Months later, as she sat at the small cafe overlooking the Lagos coastline, her laptop humming softly as she typed, she felt a deep, unshakable peace settled in her chest. She glanced out at the crashing waves, her heart swirling with a fierce, unbreakable hope. "I am free. I am whole. I am Ajiri." And as she clicked the publish button on her first blog post, her words, raw, powerful and unafraid, rippled out into the world, a testament to her survival, a beacon of hope for others still trapped in the darkness. The months following her divorce felt like waking from a long, suffocating nightmare. Ajiri slowly pieced herself back together, her spirit once again finding light only shadows had lived. She rented a small sunlit apartment by the lagoon, the soft, brainy breeze reminding her of her childhood by the river banks of Delta State. She painted the walls a warm, soothing shade of coral, filling the space with house plants and homemade art, tiny reminder of the life she was building from the ashes. One morning, as she sat cross-legged on her balcony, her laptop balanced on her knees, she received an email notification. Dear Ajiri, I just wanted to thank you for your latest blog post. Your words gave me the courage to leave a toxic relationship. You have reminded me that I am not alone and that I deserve to be free. Thank you for sharing your story. Ada. Ajiri's breath caught in her throat, her eyes misting as she read the message again. She had started the blog as a way to process her own trauma, to untangle the web of pain and fear Emeka had spun around her. She never imagined it would touch others in the same way. She leaned back, her heart swelling with pride. I am making a difference. I am healing. As the weeks passed, Ajiri grew bolder, slowly stepping back into the world she has once feared. She started attending book readings and poetry slams, reconnecting with old friends and making new ones. One evening, as she stood by the bar at the small art gallery opening, her eyes locked on a vibrant, swirling abstract painting. A deep voice broke through her thoughts. Beautiful, isn't it? She turned, her eyes meeting the warm, curious gaze of a tall man with dark, kind eyes and a faint scar tracing his left jawline. He wore a simple linen shirt, his sleeves rolled up to reveal muscular, inked forearm. It is, she replied, forcing herself to hold his gaze. There's something freeing about it. He smiled, nodded as he took a sip of his wine. I'm Remy. Ajiri, she replied, her heart fluttering with the unfamiliar sensation of interest. They spent the rest of the evening talking about art, literature, and their shared love for the ocean. She felt a strange, tentative warmth growing in her chest, a feeling she had long thought dead. They met again, by chance, at a literary festival a few weeks later. Remy spotted her first, his face lightening up as he approached. Ajiri, he called, waving through the crowd. Fancy meeting you here. She smiled, her pulse quickening as he leaned in to greet her. The scent of sandalwood and sea salt clinging to his shirt. They spent the afternoon strolling the festival grounds, their laughter mingling with the hum of the crowd. Remy's presence felt different, warm, unthreatening, and deeply respectful. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the sky in shades of gold and violet, Remy turned to her, his expression serious. Ajiri, he began, his dark eyes searching hers. I've really enjoyed getting to know you, but I don't want to push you into something you are not ready for. Ajiri felt a pang of fear, her mind flashing back to Emeka's controlling, demanding presence. She took a deep breath, grounding herself in the present. I am still healing, she admitted, her voice trembling. But I like spending time with you. Remy smiled, his shoulders relaxing. Then, let's take it slow, one day at a time. As her relationship with Remy blossomed, Ajiri found herself confronting the ghost of her past. One afternoon, as they sat on the beach, their feet buried in the warm sunlit sand, Remy leaned back, his gaze on the crashing waves. Tell me something real, Ajiri, he said softly. Something you've never told anyone. Ajiri hesitated, her heart tightening. She felt the familiar urge to retreat, to protect herself. But something about Remi's calm, steady presence made her pause. I was in a very controlling relationship, she whispered, her fingers digging into the cool sand. He took everything from me, my confidence, my freedom, my sense of self. Remi turned to her, his eyes darkening with concern. I am so sorry, Ajiri. You didn't deserve that. She swallowed, feeling the weight of her confession lift slightly. I am still learning to trust again, to believe that I am worthy of love. Remi reached over, gently brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. You are, he whispered, his voice steady. You are worthy of all the love and happiness this world has to offer. Tears pricked Ajiri's eyes, but she managed a small, grateful smile. Months turned into a year, and Ajiri continued to blossom. She published her first book of poetry, a raw, powerful collection of her experiences and survival. It quickly became a bestseller, touching the lives of countless women facing similar struggles. One evening, as she stood at the front of a packed bookstore, signing copies of her book, she looked up to see Remi standing in the back, his eyes shining with pride. As the crowd slowly thinned, he approached, a single delicate white lily in his hand, her favorite flower. For the bravest woman I know, he said, leaning in to kiss her cheek. Ajiri felt her heart swell, the old wounds finally healing as she realized that she had not only escaped her past, but had built something beautiful from its ashes. As they stepped out into the cool, bustling street of Lagos, hand in hand, Ajiri felt the world open up before her, vast, untamed, and full of endless possibility. I am free. I am whole. I am Ajiri. As the months melted into another year, Ajiri's life transformed into something she had once only dreamed of. She continued to write, her words becoming a beacon for others struggling in the same darkness she had once known. Her blog gained a devoted following, and her poetry readings became standing room only events. One evening, as she sat on a balcony, the warm, humid hair wrapping around her like a comforting blanket, her phone buzzed with an unexpected message. Ajiri, I have read your book. I am proud of you, Mama. Ajiri's breath caught in her throat. Her eyes filled with tears. She had grown distant from her family over the years, ashamed of the choices she had made, of the person she had become, under Emeka's control. But this simple message, the soft, quiet acceptance it carried, broke through the final wall around her heart. She dialed her mother's number, her hand shaking slightly as the line rang. Ajiri, the mother's voice came through, thick with emotion. Mama, Ajiri whispered, her voice trembling, I'm coming home. The journey back to Delta State felt surreal. The lush green landscapes and winding rivers, a stark contrast to the cold, gleaming city she had grown used to. As the bus rumbled down the red, dusty road of her childhood, Ajiri felt a deep, aching nostalgia pull at her heart. When she stepped off the bus, her family was there, their smiles wide and their eyes shining with tears. Her mother rushed forward, pulling Ajiri. Thank you for believing in the light, even when the darkness felt endless. I am free, completely free. I am Ajiri.